just want to know, what is their plan?
We're checking the political pulse of Southern Nevada.
I think a lot of people are very kind of disillusioned with the government.
The Valley sounding off on issues impacting people most.
I know, it's the economy. I mean, people's got to work, right?
I think we have to control the borders.
And the candidates vying for votes. Your voice, your future on the Las Vegas stage tonight.
Thank you for joining us. I'm LATOYA Silman, and this is not your typical town hall. In fact, instead of you coming here to us, we decided to go to you, crisscrossing our valley, and we found some fed up people like Kelly Martina.
Honesty. I mean, truthfully, you know, don't BS us.
We also talked to moms who say they just want the best for their children and others. Moms like Cece Gay.
It's just out of control. Somebody needs to step in and put education first, I think.
So many of you speaking out with nothing off limits, including us, the media. But Marie McCoy actually sounded off on something that you've probably heard many times before from President Trump.
Building a wall and keeping illegals out of our country. That's huge for me. I think it's important to our security. We've got too many people coming up that are bringing drugs and violence, and it's hurting American citizens.
POVs like that actually peeve other people, and you'll hear from some of them, plus so much more during this town hall. The Democratic candidates, all 7 of them, vying for their vote and yours. And that's why their ground game matters. Nevada's first in the West vote, also the first diverse contest in 2020. In our state, minorities make up the majority of the population. Hispanics and Latinos account for 29% of the diversity pie. African Americans, less than half of that, and even less for Asians. Each candidate wants a slice of it.
Politics is really affecting the community.
And Juana Gomez says that's especially true with hot button issues like immigration.
It's definitely just with so much things going on right now and how Trump is acting, it has a lot of our community super scared.
This 18-year-old girl says she knows that fear firsthand.
I have family members that have been deported to Mexico.
But come November, some hoping for a turnaround if Latinos and Hispanics passionate about changing the immigration policy turn out the vote. Gomez says people for Pete Buttigieg came knocking on her door recently, and she likes him, but also a few of the others.
Warren, because I really want a female president. However, I know we have to think about who's going to win, who could beat Trump. So, I mean, I have Bernie. So I don't know. I'm still undecided, but I will be going to the caucuses, the 22nd.
Alex Portillo says he's also voting, but he's eyeing their views on education first.
It's they focus more the dress code than actually the kids learning. That's my opinion with what's happened with the last 2 years with my kids' school.
Every undecided voter we talk to say they're certain about one thing. They want anyone but Trump. Each of the Dems hoping that someone is them.
Too many things wrong. Doesn't respect for the Constitution, values, privacy, nothing.
It's also been said the Democrats cannot win the White House without the support of black people. I talked to several who say they plan to leverage their political capital.
I haven't heard anybody say anything about education. Other than, the cost.
It's likely education stands top of mind for many parents this election cycle. But black mothers like Cece Gay also face worries others likely never consider.
My oldest son, he just started driving, and it's a constant worry for me.
She fears what may start as a traffic stop could end with her son losing his life. So she wants presidential candidates courting her vote to also tackle police brutality.
We talk about, equality and all of that, but we still struggle here in Nevada around race.
Yvette Williams with the Clark County Black Caucus says candidates need a plan for the economy, economic development, and education that positively impacts the black community.
For so long, candidates come into our community and make demands and ask for support and leave a check And when it comes time for us to cash it after the election, they're nowhere to be found. In fact, the bank's closed.
Marie Smith says she's banking on billionaire Tom Steyer to change that.
Mainly because he says he believes in reparations, and he says the racial issue has never been dealt with in this country after 400 years, and he says day one that will be on the table.
Williams backs Bernie Sanders.
I don't think it's something that we haven't all thought about our entire lives. Where's my 40 acres and a mule? I always say I want 40 acres and a Tesla now.
So during the debate in Las Vegas, they're all ears, along with college student Devon Scott and retiree Curtis Shingles. They want Trump out of office.
He's the worst. He's the worst. The guy lies every time he opens his mouth. You know, and he always want to discredit people and talk about how bad they are. Who is any worse than he is?
Didn't think he would be a president. So I guess I had to change that with my vote.
With my vote, I will tell my children and their children that I did my duty to the best of my ability, believing that my country expected it of me.
That's Republican Senator Mitt Romney, a former GOP presidential nominee, explaining how his religious beliefs factored into his vote to convict President Trump of abuse of power in the Senate impeachment trial. That got us thinking about how your faith may play a role in your political decisions. We found a group visiting our valley eager to talk about it.
This isn't a church service, it's a call to action. The 2020 National Faith Forum kicking off in so-called Sin City just days before the Democratic debate in Las Vegas.
We have a different story to say from the far right.
The Faith in Action Network says it shuns putting people in cages and offers refuge to refugees.
If you're a person of faith, it's not about fear.
My faith tells me that what is happening in our current political climate in our communities, it's not right. When you have children being locked in cages, when you have black men being targeted, communities being underserved, schools not funded properly.
We turn our attention now to the one who has shared time with us.
The Faith in Action Forum invited Democratic presidential candidates like Tom Steyer to attend.
Do I believe that taking children away from their parents is torturing kids? Yeah, I do. Do I think it's a crime against men? Yes, I do.
One more time, Mr. Tom Steyer.
While people prayed on Steyer's behalf, they stopped short of endorsing him or anyone else for president. But the woman hugging him, Brittany White, did say she's looking for a particular type of candidate who will advocate for a particular type of person.
And that person is a black transgender woman who speaks Spanish, who's HIV positive, who's differently abled, who's formerly incarcerated and undocumented. And if we can make the world make sense for her, then everybody else will benefit as well.
As for the masses, here's how many of you responded to the same issue. 22% of you say religion plays a role in your political decisions, while 78% of you said it does not. Well, at this point, you've heard a little bit of everything from everyone except for young people. I actually ran into a group of college students at UNLV, and during our sit down, they had a lot on their mind.
I think the thing I'm most worried about is like women's rights and like pro-choice or pro-life.
You're eavesdropping on a different type of girl talk.
I've seen people who have to make those decisions for themselves, and it really sucks.
These barely 20-somethings bearing their souls on a chilly afternoon on UNLV's campus.
One thing that I would like to hear more of is the immigration problem currently with the families that have been separated.
I thought y'all were going to say student loans.
Oh yeah, that's
college. Yeah. Anything else that you guys are paying attention to?
Well, I mean, since you brought up student loans.
Did you brought it up?
I just did my tax returns and I'm like $31,000 in debt and I'm only 20, so I think it's a little ridiculous.
I am hoping to go back to college in the springtime, hopefully. I haven't been able to, but hopefully I will with scholarships and stuff.
What do y'all think about the current president?
Oh, not enough words to describe that man. I'm disappointed of the results of his impeachment trial.
When the conversation turns to race, the quiet blonde on my left reminds me to never assume.
I have a skin condition called albinism, which is why it makes me appear lighter, because I don't produce as much melanin as a regular Hispanic would or would not. So for me and my family, it's me and my brother that both have albinism, and everybody else is. We could tell that they're Hispanic or they're Mexican. And well, for us, it was also kind of tough.
I grew up in Chicago. I was like one of 5 white people who went there, and I saw a lot of like colorism, like between other people in the black community.
You all know what colorism is, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people may not. I mean, when you said that, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like secrets in communities. I mean, I think even like the Spanish community has that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So colorism is basically when you discriminate against your own because they're darker or they're lighter. It can go either way, but usually it's the darker they are, the more they're like shunned.
Pretty heavy stuff, so we might as well tackle religion. Hope Parsons starts first.
I think separation of church and state is a very powerful thing that should be more pushed.
We're supposed to be welcoming. We're supposed to be bringing you guys in. But it doesn't make sense.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Seeing that, it's like contradicting what you're actually supposed to be doing. If you're telling them you're gonna go to the bad place.
What do you think about the media? Do you think we could do a better job? What would you like to see from us?
Well, we're media students, so
Well,
I feel
yeah.
like, yeah.
I could say like, oh, we should be more positive and like actually put more like happy stories out there. But when we do that, we're concealing what's actually going on in the world.
I could sit here all day.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's cold. Climate change.
Serious topics mixed in with a lot of laughter. Up next, our political reporter Jeff Gillen joins us to talk about what he knows best. But first, more Southern Nevadans sound off about who they would vote for if they had to vote today.
I'm a Trump fan.
Probably Bernie Sanders.
My favorite right now is actually Tom Steyer. I would love to see him gain some more traction.
Why do you like Trump?
I think because he's not part of the establishment.
Elizabeth Warren, for sure.
Why is that?
I just like what she stands for.
That would still be undecided at this point.
Taking a look now at the Paris, Las Vegas as candidates prepare to take the stage for the 9th Democratic debate. Here's News 3's Jeff Gillen with more on the matchup.
We could not be more different than the 2 states that went before us. Nevada, the first Democratic contest in a state that looks like the rest of the country, diverse and growing. So after Iowa caucused and after New Hampshire voted, the race is now here, and political expert, the editor of the Nevada Independent, John Ralston, sizes things up.
So I think you have to say that Bernie Sanders is the favorite here now, Jeff, because he has the organization here. He did well in 2016. He almost beat Hillary Clinton in 2016.
The race Iowa and New Hampshire sent us is a scrum between Sanders and Pete Buttigieg, with Amy Klobuchar climbing. Who is not climbing is Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden. Biden finished 4th in Iowa and 5th in New Hampshire. And Warren, whose campaign had been seen as strong, is bleeding progressive support to Sanders.
I think Nevada's a last stand for her and Joe Biden probably, because they've dropped out of the conversation of who are the front runners, right? You only hear about Sanders and Mayor Pete now.
Earlier Nevada polls had Biden in front.
We have not had a lot of polling. We've barely had any polling out of Nevada. So exactly where that race stands right now, we don't know.
NBC's Steve Kornacki says the first 2 contests could very well have shaken things up.
Does that change the landscape that we have seen in Nevada? Is Biden in trouble in Nevada? And again, if Biden then is looking at 3 negative performances, 3 bad performances in those leadoff contests, that only compounds his situation.
Biden will be on the debate stage tonight, along with Sanders, Warren, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar. There's an outside chance they'll be joined by the big wild card in the race, former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Bloomberg is spending a chunk of his fortune to sit out the early states and jump in on Super Tuesday. NBC News, MSNBC, and Ralston's Nevada Independent are hosting the debate. Ralston is one of the moderators.
I'm hoping that what I bring to the debate is more of a Nevada perspective, more of a Western perspective, and ask about issues that might not be asked elsewhere.
Nevada Democrats say they're ready.
I think the Democratic Party here is worried. They're worried that the eyes of everyone are upon them, right?
Big question is about all of the visits. A lot of them right after New Hampshire, making sure that they get here to Las Vegas so that they are front and center. Tom Steyer's made the most visits. Do you think it matters?
It certainly matters for Steyer in the sense it raises his profile. I mean, you can't, if you're a Democrat, you can't move around here without getting mail in your mailbox from Mr. Steyer and
very true,
and all of that stuff. In the most recent poll, and Steve Kornacki was right from NBC, we haven't gotten a lot of polling in Nevada. Steyer's in double digits in the last one, if I remember correctly, so he is moving up. Could potentially be a wild card or really a strong finisher in Nevada. He's placing a lot of emphasis on the state. So the short answer, does it matter? It sure does. Now we're in that real caucus bubble right before Saturday. Tonight's the debate. And everybody's here over the past week or so.
Right.
And they're all hoping to get on coverage and get some face-to-face time with voters.
And rightfully so. And I'm sure some of them were crossing their fingers for the longest time, hoping that the culinary would in fact endorse them. But now we know they're not picking an endorsement. Tell us, what do you think is behind that decision?
Well, I think that, you've got some strong candidates. I think the culinary in the past has endorsed. It's also sat out elections. And I think that maybe this year the culinary looked at a field that was so fluid, and it really is so fluid that it didn't really want to jump in and pick any favorite right now. It goes without saying that once a nominee is chosen, the culinary will be out there, supporting that nominee. Its number one goal is to defeat Donald Trump. But what we've been watching though is really kind of a dust up over healthcare from the culinary, especially with Bernie Sanders. And so while they're sitting out this endorsement, they still will be a force to be reckoned with politically here. After the caucus, after we do our thing, and the nominee, they'll be back.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Nevada's still ever important, so we know that they'll still matter a great deal for these candidates. So let's talk really quickly about the debacle that was Iowa with the app. Of course, we had the same app and spent tens of thousands of dollars on it. Democratic Party, what are they saying about the accuracy of what we're doing now?
We're all clear, they're not using that app.
Right.
They're not going to use the app that Iowa used, although Nevada initially was planning to do that. But after we saw what happened in Iowa, Nevada went, no thank you. They're coming up with a different procedure, primarily paper-based. They're going back to old school. However, with one difference, they will be using party-supplied iPads that will have documents by Google Forms on it. The caucus precinct chairman will fill out information and get that back to the party. The party said recently that, look, it's secure. We've checked this off with everybody. We've got other procedures and backups in place. So everybody is really kind of, crossing the fingers that Saturday comes and goes with, frankly, no big drama.
That's right. Of course, they had to do a lot of PR after that, and they made that decision immediately to not use that app. Right. So thank you so much, Jeff Gillen, our political expert here at Channel 3. Still ahead, the political climate seeming more like a political crisis to many of you. It's the one thing that we heard everywhere we went. But first, here's how some of you view the president's impeachment trial.
It's a farce. I don't think breaking the law is, no matter who is in the political party, should be allowed to commit crimes.
To me, it's like, why would you not impeach him?
It's like a witch hunt, like he says. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
After the debate in Las Vegas comes the caucus, of course, and here's how it works. Registered Democrats will meet at their precinct to discuss which candidate they prefer. If their choice does not meet a certain threshold, they can switch to another candidate. The most viable candidate gets the most delegates. For caucus day locations in Clark County and beyond, log on to news3lv.com and look for more information. As we get closer to the caucus, this political climate is getting a lot of attention. Everyone we talked to found the current environment toxic, regardless of their background or political affiliation.
Adam Schiff is a vicious, horrible person. Nancy Pelosi is a horrible person.
The war of words in Washington.
He's so off the track of our Constitution, our values, our country.
Proof of a political divide.
It's frustrating. You know, we're bashing everyone, and there's really no grounds for no middle grounds for us to talk.
So it's no wonder.
No? Okay. Thank you.
People pass me by time
Sorry.
after time. But with dogged determination, we set out to hear you out. Different faces and different places with differing views, except when it came to one question.
What do you think of our current political climate?
From college students like Bobby Dawson to retirees like Pete West, at least one area of common ground.
It's a mess. Yeah, simple as that.
I'm not saying that we have to agree on every single thing, but it's just so much back and forth, needless commotion.
Which explains why, in the land of the free, some people didn't feel free to fully express themselves.
I have to be careful because I have a job.
I know I'm going straight to Hades for this one because my uncle is pro-Democrat. He's going to see this. He's like, what the hell are you doing?
From Tom Fitzgerald, the division starts closer to home with his sister. He admits they don't see eye to eye either. Marie McCoy worries we're living in a climate of hostility that knows no boundary.
We have some problems going on with just hatred across this country. You know, it's affecting all communities, the Jewish community, the Black community, Hispanic community, and I don't know what the answer is.
But she doesn't blame President Trump. As for others?
Well, I don't think Trump has helped it at all.
I think a lot of it is the media. I think that people are...
You're blaming us?
No, not you guys. Like CNN and Fox, everybody's got their own agenda, I think.
I think that a lot of people have just forgotten about how to care about others.
What's the future of the children? How's it going to be for them? Is it going to be battling each other, or is it going to be everyone's coming together or being divided? You know, they need to think about that.
All right, only time will tell. Thank you so much for watching this Town Hall special. Enjoy the debate and don't forget to vote no matter who you support. After all, it's your voice and your future. Stay with News 3 throughout the evening as we bring you live coverage of the Democratic debate, followed by a special edition of News 3. Plus, we'll bring you extensive team coverage of the Nevada caucuses this Saturday, both on air and online at news3lv.com.